And so that is what we have done and will continue to do. Which brings me to May 30th, 2020. Bob and Doug returned to the Kennedy Space Center. They suited up, they waved to their families, and they rode an elevator up nearly 20 stories. They strapped in to their seats and waited as the tanks beneath them filled with tens of thousands of gallons of fuel. And then they launched. Yeah, they did. Millions of Americans watched that day on the hills and sand dunes of Cape Canaveral, in living rooms, dorm rooms, classrooms across our nation. We watched Bob and Doug's rocket rise from the launch pad. We watched it climb into the sky and then disappear from our view. For the first time in almost a decade, we witnessed American astronauts launch an American rocket from American soil. And for the first time in history, we saw astronauts reach orbit in a capsule built and launched by the private sector. 64 days later, we celebrated as those astronauts splashed down safely off the Florida coast. Bob and Doug, together, have written the first page of a new chapter in the history of American space flight. Through their ingenuity and bravery, they have helped rebuild America's bridge to low Earth orbit and to the International Space Station, where we conduct some of our most significant and advanced scientific research. In fact, in April of 2021, on the second flight of the Dragon capsule, we saw Megan fly to the International Space Station on the Dragon capsule. And there she was. She flew in the very same seat as her husband and where he sat just a year before. Think about that. And by partnering with commercial companies to advance their space capabilities, these two and these families have enabled NASA to deepen its focus on exploration, to invest in the first commercial space stations, to return American astronauts to the moon through the Artemis program, and to go to Mars and beyond. In the coming years, there is no doubt hundreds of people will fly to orbit in the capsule that they helped to test and build. Career astronauts, and also entrepreneurs, educators, artists, and yes, even students. Folks who otherwise would have only been able to look up and wonder will now be able to go to orbit and help make real the incredible potential of space.